Yeah, I'm gonna put my phone on mute. Not respond to that at all.
Ears out, lights on. Stryker put his pinky in his mouth. I see you see where we're going with this. And good morning. And what the hell? I just did the camera thing. Why is it? You talk for a minute, Cameron.
Okay. Well, oh, golly, yeah, dude, look, the camera's not even,
I know. I just did the camera thing just a second ago.
Oh, wow. Anyhow, okay. So we're temporarily a podcast. Well, it's Thursday, and, you know what? While you're sussing all that out.
I fixed it.
Okay, well, let's say good morning to some people just the same. Let's see. We've got Scrimshaw Rose, appears to be first in the chat. Good morning, good morning. And then Sean Stryker, thank you for joining us. Rebel Jack, good morning. And then Dave Bowen says, good morning, Patriots. And good morning to Dave, who's also a Patriot.
Stryker says $1 billion.
Yes, and we didn't plan that either. It just happened. And then you got Danny Pitt. Good morning from a rainy South Rockdale. Till about 8:30 this morning. It's gonna be a bit rainy. And then the Fit Life with Danielle. Good morning. Good morning.
Danny says, but I don't have $1 billion. Yeah, neither does Alex Jones.
Most people don't have, even people that theoretically have $1 billion don't actually have $1 billion. Like it's, woo. And then St. Michael of Sigadio, at least I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that. And then let's see, Jen Lee McGinnis, good morning, lovely lady. And yeah. Okay. And, well, I mean, we already had one thing go wrong this morning. I got worried for a second there. And so, it's Thursday. It used to be Toter Win golly. I miss
having Toter wins. I miss having wins.
Well, you know, I keep seeing the thing that's like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I prefer mean tweets to the threat of nuclear Armageddon.
Right, well, you know, like we covered the other day, we covered Tulsi Gabbard and her big statement about how she's leaving the Democrat Party, and you know she's getting a lot of fluff even from people I respect. Like, oh yeah, hey, that's right. Even Democrats think the Democrats went crazy. Okay, let me back y'all up a little bit and remind you. Tulsi ran in the primary to run against Donald Trump. Let me rephrase that so you understand it correctly. Tulsi personally made the decision to run on a platform of opposition to world peace, U.S. energy independence, low unemployment, roaring economy, cheap gas, affordable rents, affordable housing. Right? I can go on.
Oh, come on, man, bring it back.
She ran against everything that you want. And if you're a Democrat, she ran against everything that you say you want, with the exception of infanticide and child mutilation.
I don't know that she ever, I don't remember her saying anything about transgender children.
She ran as a Democrat.
Yes, but I still don't remember her saying it. Believe it or not, there was some variety in the Democrats in the 2020 election. Like, for example, not all of them had used the California penal system to enslave people. Also, not all of them have a double pun baked right into saying the California penal system.
Right. And, you know, it is amusing. Okay, we're off on a tangent, but let's go with this for just a minute. It is amusing that the former vice president of the U.S. president that reopened the African slave trades, the African open air slave markets, that his running mate is basically a professional government slave trader.
Yeah, okay, so there's that. But look, I think the criticism about Tulsi Gabbard is legitimate, okay? But I think once you start flirting with nuclear war, that's one of those things that's like, okay, you really want to find out what's important to people? Okay, now, let me finish. Let's threaten the world with nuclear holocaust. The kind of the same reason I don't think Putin is actually in any hurry to use nukes, because if Putin were to actually use nukes, there is a good chance that him, all his friends, and all his family would just get dis-a-fucking-peared, right? Yeah. Because, you know, worldwide nuclear holocaust. Most people are going to say, maybe we should not play with that. And so Tulsi might be, you know, going, which way is the wind blowing? Well, okay, fair enough. But I also think that there's at least some truth when she says, but above all, the threat of nuclear war.
Agreed. Here's something I want to touch real quick. Stryker says Tulsi is only relevant because Proud Boys simp for her. In all fairness, Stryker, what's really going on? The Proud Boys are no longer super relevant, if relevant at all. And what really just happened is Tulsi realized that she is no longer relevant in the 24-hour news cycle or the reality of politics. She is no longer a significant entity on the public stage, and so she had to do something. And that is part of the math here. Leaving the left is a great way to reignite a floundering brand.
It's one of those things. It's like,
it's at least in part a publicity stunt.
Well, it's like advertising. It's like sales and marketing in the medical industry. You can both want to make your new super drug, you know, the people who made your super drug rich, but your super drug also like works and helps people.
That's fair.
So you can have the profit motive and you can have the altruistic motive at the same time. And I just think that there happens to be a bit of that happening with Tulsi, where she's like, oh man, might have backed the wrong horse on this one. So anyhow, it is 7:40 and
so we've got 3 segments today apparently. You ready to do this one?
Golly, you know, speaking of the media and everything else, like, and the theme for today's show is going to all be media related. Let's just get to it, because there's yeah.
Alex Jones ordered to pay $965 million for Sandy Hook lies. You know, here's the interesting thing about just probably the most interesting thing about this whole case is, if I understand the claims correctly, Alex Jones didn't actually tell any Sandy Hook lies. He interviewed some people who suggested that the event never happened. And then it was treated like he ran this mass campaign against against individual named persons. And that's another part of it that's hinky, is this is technically a defamation suit. And most of the people involved in the defamation suit were never named and defamed.
Oh, so much better.
Sorry. Rebel Jack says he moved over to do fun emotes.
Well, look,
okay,
so,
do it.
Let me help. Alex Jones did suggest that Sandy Hook was a false flag. Okay? Like, he didn't just interview people that said it was a false flag. Alex Jones himself suggested that it was a false flag and promoted that theory on his show. Okay? So that part happened. Okay? So I think that sort of clarification is important. However, let me just back all the way up, okay? Because this is the first thing I think when I see this stuff, okay? Somebody in the press can tell $1 billion lie, huh? You mean like Russian hookers peeing on beds, for example?
Like there is no laptop?
Oh, right. Well, and hey, look, if
Russians stole the 2016 election with a sub $100,000 Facebook ad buy.
Right. Or hey, we could keep it local. In 2018, Brian Kemp totally stole the election from Stacey Abrams because he somehow 12 years ago arrested 36 people for voter suppression reasons. Say, Michael, that's a good one. Hands up, don't shoot, though, in this case. Well, no, actually, let's just go ahead and roll that into the list of examples. Now, let me be clear. The 2020 election was fine. It
Perfect.
was great. And even if there was some chicanery in the 2020 election, there was in no way enough chicanery to swing the outcome of even a single state.
Right. Not one frog or toad threw dick and needed to see a doctor.
Right. So, and then, but even with regard to 2020, the insurrection.
Jack, what are you doing to me, man?
Dave Bowen says
Nick Salmon harassed a bunch of Indians. That's right. And the black Hebrew Israelites were never there. Never there.
Okay, so, but here's the thing, all right? There has to be a line of delineation, all right? When you talk about slander and libel and all that, there's a lot of leeway given to our press. And I think rightly so, okay? Newspapers and their ilk do need to be allowed to lie. Because if they are not allowed to lie, they're also not allowed to look at a set of facts and then draw a conclusion from those set of facts and present that conclusion to you as part of their analysis of that set of facts. Basically, if you're not allowed to lie, you're not allowed to be incorrect either.
Okay, now there's where we get into the question of the court. Because what you're talking about, there's a big difference between intentionally lying. Intent matters here. There's a big difference between lying and getting it wrong, right? And that's the next problem that I wanted to talk about with regard to the Jones case. Is it's not like he went out and said person A said XYZ and made fact claims about these people individually telling lies. He did make claims that, in his opinion, it was a false flag. But that's the thing. Did he lie or was he wrong? And the difference matters. It's supposed to matter. According to the law, it's supposed to matter. It doesn't matter, however, when your objective is not to serve justice, but rather to try and scare guys like me, guys like Cameron, guys like Alex McDonald, out of talking out loud, out of speaking about topics. Right? And I don't mean to compare myself to Alex Jones necessarily, because obviously, well, Alex ain't got $1 billion to play with. He's probably closer to it than I am. But the point...
Not anymore.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, like, his company's going to basically be on garnishment for the rest of his life. His total holdings are estimated at like 110 million, and he's been ordered to pay almost $1 billion in this single judgment. And you know there's probably more coming?
Yeah, there are more coming. Absolutely.
Like, this is an effort to absolutely break this man, okay? And let's be clear, okay, got Sandy Hook wrong. Got Sandy Hook wrong AF.
Yep,
Boy,
you got that one wrong.
Boy, he was right about Jeffrey Epstein, though, wasn't he?
And the frogs.
He was terrified. Well, look, the frogs thing is an easy meme, but he was terrifyingly right
About Epstein,
Jeffrey Epstein.
About Chinese
harvesting
pigs,
organs.
Harvesting organs.
Yeah, ask yourself, if you've never gone down one of the darkest rabbit holes in modern history, Google the Falun Gong in China. Yeah. And I'll just go ahead and give you a preview. The Falun Gong movement is a movement designed to promote bodily and spiritual health in China.
It's a pseudo-religious, philosophical, spiritual thing. But they're treated like basically fourth-class citizens.
St. Michael says, don't ask Alex Jones about 9/11. He's 100% wrong on that one. Okay, 9/11 is its own separate thing because you got morons like Rosie O'Donnell saying, I just don't understand how fire could melt steel. Oh, you nattering twat. How do you think they made the steel in the first place? All right, so you've got that.
Have you ever heard of welding?
All right, and not only that, but there is some weird stuff about it, okay? There is some deliberately weird stuff. Like, I mean, never forget that on, like, September 10th, Donald Rumsfeld came out and went, there were trillions of dollars, and now we don't know where they went. Oops. And then conveniently enough, a few Saudis backed by Iranian money. What was it? It's like a bizarre thing where like half the countries in the Middle East at least tacitly participated in the 9/11 attack.
Right.
Somehow this whole coordinated attack happened to knock these buildings down. And we just, forgot about Donald Rumsfeld coming out and saying, we don't know what happened to those trillions of dollars. Like, so there's some weird stuff there. But look, here's the thing, okay? And this is why I opened with, okay, there are lies that are worth $1 billion. Okay. Supposedly, these parents who, according to Alex Jones, he never said their names. He never said the names of any of these parents. And the internet is what it is. I strongly suspect that there are some people in our chat that if they wanted to, they could post like our credit scores and criminal records and just bam. And there wouldn't be much we could do about it.
That's
right?
probably fair.
So, it could be the same thing like Alex Jones just says, well, I just think that the Sandy Hook thing is a false flag and they want to take your guns. And then the internet just did its thing. Putting aside the whole philosophical discussion, does that make him liable? Okay. Let's just assume that it does. Let's just assume that in the way we used to think about insurance and proximate cause, Alex Jones is responsible for that harm. Okay. Who can I sue to get my inflated fucking health premiums back from Obamacare? Just for starters.
Well, it should be Twitter.
I don't don't know that. Well, I mean, we're talking about going all the way back to 2008. Twitter existed, but was not.
Oh, fair enough. I'm thinking. Okay, Twitter is who we should be able to sue over our current gas prices
And the laptop
and nuclear war.
Right. Well,
because of the laptop.
I don't know who we can. That's another thing.
The argument that's made here is the equivalent argument to what is being made against Alex Jones is that because Twitter suppressed the laptop story, they are proximally responsible for dramatically increased gas prices, coming to the brink of nuclear war, every single death that has occurred in the Ukraine conflict. And that list goes on a bit.
Well, and then we can even back that up to another one with 2016. You get a double dip on Obamacare there, because if it hadn't been for that whole Russia collusion thing, look, maybe the Paul Ryan Congress actually believed there might have been something to the Russia collusion narrative, or maybe the Paul Ryan Congress only used that as cover to obstruct Trump's agenda. I don't know. And for this discussion, that doesn't matter. What does matter is that because there was this cloud of largely artificial controversy surrounding Donald Trump, he was obstructed by what should have been a highly effective and highly friendly Congress from moving his agenda forward. That Obamacare should have been gutted. The wall should have been built. And your taxes should be even lower. And what the Saudis charge for a barrel of oil shouldn't matter. But for a false Russia collusion narrative. So how do we sue for that? Like, because if a handful of people can get together, and let's just assume that Alex Jones is nothing but a shock jock and an asshole, and he's just doing this to make money and
sell male supplements.
Right, and don't give a fuck about the truth. He just kind of backs into it on accident every now and then.
Right.
Okay, cool. How long before we're allowed to bankrupt CNN? Just for starters. ABC News. And I say all that to say...
With nuisance money?
Look, and I say all that to say, okay, as much as I would love to see eye for an eye, if it's good for the goose, it's good for a gander, I would actually rather live in a world where we're not trying to deliberately bankrupt Alex Jones. Because let's be clear, this didn't happen to Alex Jones because he's evil. And even if he is evil, this didn't happen to him because he's evil. This happened to him because he's not afraid to run counter to the narrative. He is captivating. He might not be mine or your cup of tea, but there are people that find him engaging and authentic, and they're willing to think outside the box. And the problem is, once somebody thinks outside the box, it doesn't matter what got them to think outside the box. Right. They're now outside the box. This strikes me as an opportunity to be like, oh, we can get this money. Yeah, we've got dead kids and grieving parents. We can get this motherfucker.
And
there's
another piece of it that you mentioned there. This didn't happen to Alex Jones. This was done to him. Part of the problem, right? I'm sure many of you saw the news on it. The judge literally instructed the jury at what was supposed to have been a trial. The judge said, hey, this isn't a trial. We've already determined that he's guilty. We're just here to figure out how much we get to make him pay.
Yeah, and his own defense attorney accidentally turned over evidence that makes him look guilty as fuck and didn't try and claw it back.
And there were a lot of problems in the discovery process, too. And guess how those problems happened? He was banned from YouTube, thrown off of YouTube entirely after making the claims that he made.
And most of his payment processors.
There were huge problems with discovery because all of the video clips that were referenced were deleted when his channel was deleted from YouTube. And that was part of what led to his determination of guilt. So all that was messy as hell. And what we're looking at here, the point to crucifying Alex Jones, like I said before, is to shut up everybody that's going to do something crazy, like look at a laptop and say, hey, wait a minute.
Is this
literally
Hunter Biden?
details a complex corruption scheme involving a running candidate for the U.S. presidency. And people are trying to prevent voters from knowing about this before an election happens. That's what the $1 billion is all about. It's a big, scary number. Because everybody involved in that knows that nobody's ever going to see any of that money. Right? There's more than you can afford, and then there's more than exists. Yeah, there's $1 billion in the world, sure. But
yeah, but even most billionaires don't actually have
Exactly.
$1 billion. Like Elon Musk and his $44 billion acquisition of Twitter, like he's basically trading assets for assets there.
well, and that he's debt financing it.
And I was about to say, and there's a whole bunch of stuff coming from like banks. Like there's a lot of moving parts to that. Okay, so Saint Michael, I am not going to disagree with the thing that you're saying, but unfortunately, we're not even going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole right now.
Yeah, that's a deep rabbit hole to go down.
And there might be some 10-foot poles that get touched in that topic, but we are not going to be the ones touching them. Anyhow, okay, so long story short, love Alex Jones, hate Alex Jones, don't give a shit about Alex Jones. That does not matter, okay? This is the first link in the chain, the first hit on the slippery slope, as it were, because if it's okay to bankrupt Alex Jones over a situation that is emotionally charged, well, then it's okay to do it to anybody and everybody that steps off the reservation or the plantation, or pick your Asian in which you are an indentured servant and you're happy to get the scraps because, you know, frankly,
It's just the Ministry of Truth that they pretended to shut down.
look, you will live in the pods, you will eat the bugs. Oh,
You will be
hey,
made to pretend to care.
hey, you know what? There's another thing Alex Jones was right about.
Yep.
Okay, not right about everything, clearly not, but this is not good for free speech. Long story short, okay, I go back to something I said several minutes ago. If you are not, in fact, I'll go back to something I've said over several shows. If you are not free to be wrong, you are not free.
Correct.
Period. If you are not free to fuck up and hurt yourself and make a stupid choice, you are not free. Hey, in North Korea, you can say whatever you want as long as it's pro-communist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. North Korea has elections. They have an opposition party. There are designees whose job it is to be the opposition party and to make outrageous claims and hold outrageous positions so that everybody wants to vote for the Labor Party. And getting caught voting against the Labor Party is a good way to get some Samchon justice, which is to say that they disappear you and 3 generations up and down.
3 generations up and 3 generations down. Yep. Hey, it's 8 o'clock. I realize there's a lot going into the other topic, but
I think we should just go ahead and wrap it up, because the other segment that we've got for this morning would be another half hour, and I don't have it.
Okay.
I have the segment ready. I don't have the other half hour.
I understand. Well, we're gonna go back and cover some more stuff with the Trump Mar-a-Lago raid. Kids, that's coming.
It is.
Because there are those that believe Trump will be indicted before the midterms. Not just...
And that's only 4 weeks out.
In about 3.5 weeks, yep.
Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow for Firearms Friday.
Yay!